You're okay. I'm ready. Okay. Whenever you're ready, hit it.
Hi, I'm David Toman, author of nootropicsexpert.com, and you're listening to Jeff Smith at Vroom Vroom Veer. Stay tuned.
Well done, sir. Thank you. All right. I'm going to hit stop. I'll be right back.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Melissa, Ronda, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So you are at thehonestway.com where you're helping women lose tons of weight, eating awesome food that they love. So talk a little bit about what you're most excited about in your business today.
Well, we're recording this at the most magical time of year, as everyone knows, right? So with the New Year's resolution crowd, I'm so excited because some people have give it a bad name, but I love the opportunity for a fresh start. Sure, we can have a fresh start anytime, but why not have that extra zhuzh of a new year?
Amen.
So
when the herd is ready to roll, right? Just ride the wave. Yeah. Yeah. Don't poop on it. Just go with it.
I love it.
Sure.
So I'm really excited about that because I'm just launching my program Momentum, where I work with ladies for 6 months, and we really handle a lot of that binge issues that we've had with food.
Sure.
Get healthy food in the house, get some muscle on the body.
Amen.
So it's really a balanced program, and it's my favorite way to work with people in small groups. So it's really exciting to see that popping off.
Sweet. Sounds like you've got your system set up where you're not going to let people just kind of sign up and not show up. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely, I have an application process, and I do that because to protect the ladies in the community,
right.
But I also do it to make sure that whoever wants to join, they're going to get results.
Right.
So sometimes I'll tell them, you know what, this isn't the right one for you. Maybe this or maybe that or maybe something else. But I really grow my business on word of mouth.
Okay.
So I really make sure that they're a good fit and they're going to stay accountable and get results. So
right. No, that's perfect. Yeah. Because it's most gym memberships. I had another guy who runs a set of gyms, and he's all about this. Get groups together, everybody that signs up to his gyms, and this is a gym owner guy, right? You can't just sign up and not show up. They'll just kick you out. It's literally not allowed.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard of a gym like that. I think that is that's such a fantastic selling point.
Yeah, it is. It's just look, we're not putting you on our brand if you're just going to show up and hang out and, be at the gym. You got plenty of that. That niche of the market is covered, right? We don't need you. Right. Yes. If you show up here, you're going to get results. And if you don't, you got to go.
I love that idea so much. I mean, there's so much garbage out there in this industry.
Right.
And that's why I called it The Honest Ways, because I wanted to operate with integrity, just like that guy. So he sounds really cool.
Yeah. Well, he's been on, I have to go back and look. Okay, that guy. Travis Jones. So he's an Australian dude, and his gym is called R Results Based Training, rbtgyms.com. Yeah. And he's only a couple of shows ago. So he was
I think I started listening
17th.
To him. I just might not have gotten the whole thing.
Yeah. So very cool. I mean, and check out his stuff. So anyway, sorry for the screw up and the mild delay that was all edited out that nobody knows about. But I totally got into that. That was a really good idea because it's I saw this thing on one of those Netflix shows all about numbers that nowadays people go to gyms for like all the wrong reasons. They're going to the gym to hook up, like in California, people don't meet in singles bars or nightclubs. They go to the gym to meet guys and girls. Okay.
Do they really?
That's where people hook up.
I'm so Midwestern. Like, what?
I know. I'm from Michigan too. So I was like, really? People are doing it. Yeah. I mean, so I'm like, really? So I mean, the whole fitness thing has gotten, and then like the people that actually need to be in the gym, the people that, have an issue and could use the help, they're afraid to go there because there's all these pretty sexy people in their cute little outfits that are just like, look at me. I'm so good looking. It's like, you're making me sick. Anyway. I digress.
I tell you though, I think like people will say, well, I'm scared to go to the gym because people are looking at me. And I always tell them, listen, a gym rat is always looking at themselves. Like,
they're not looking at you at all. That's true.
They're looking at themselves in the mirror. It just feels that way.
Right. Yes, that's true. It's true. Anyway, yet we digress. Okay. So let's go back in time. So where are you in the Midwest? Are you,
Chicago.
I'm a Packers fan, but
I'm sorry.
I know,
that's
right?
Really unfortunate for you.
I know, right?
For the very first time.
For the very first time ever, not really. So, as we digress into this rabbit hole a little bit, as soon as the Packers are out of the playoffs, then I get to pick an NFC North team that I like that to win, right? So I had a choice between the Vikings and the Bears this year. I was all in on the Bears, baby.
Were you?
This year reminds me of 1985.
The Super Bowl Shuffle?
The Super Bowl Shuffle. I just saw the movie and it was amazing. If you haven't seen this documentary called 85, go check it out. It talks all about the Super Bowl Shuffle, the whole season. There's Mike Ditka and Mike Singletary and all the guys. Everybody that's still alive is in that movie. And
yeah, I think we're dating ourselves.
A little bit. I was a very young kid, okay, in 85. Anyway, yet again, a digression. Okay, so you're growing up in Chicago, and talk a little bit about what you were like as a kid.
Obese. Guess
I get
what?
it.
Like,
I get it.
So my dad had candy and popcorn stores growing up.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
so was everybody in the family a little overweight, or maybe more than a little?
Well, you always have that one, that one that can eat everything, and he's like 85 pounds. But yes, the rest of us were all obese.
And it's a kid, right? Okay.
I grew up in a home where we had a really unhealthy relationship with each other and food.
Right. Okay. Sounds very much like my childhood. Yes. Okay.
Oh, does it?
Of course.
Does it?
Yes. Midwesterners are very repressed generally, in my opinion, my humble opinion, with the sample of me and my family. Anyway.
Yeah. So I had a really unhealthy relationship with myself and with, I didn't know how to communicate with other people. I didn't feel that my thoughts were valid or valuable in any way. So I really used food to suppress a lot.
Right.
But
it takes a long time to figure that out.
Yeah. So I'm going to be 40 this year. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. 40 is awesome. I'm about to be 50. So, yeah. Enjoy those 40s. It's awesome.
I love it because I feel like every single year since I've been about 33, every year I look back at the previous year and go, oh my gosh, I've grown so much.
I can't believe what a I was last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did the same thing. I get it. Yeah.
I don't think you're living life right unless you're looking back and slightly embarrassed about something the previous year, right?
Yes, I agree. Sometimes it happens to me like on a daily basis. I can't believe I was such a dickhead yesterday. That happens to me. So I'm with you. Yes, I agree.
I like to learn lessons the hard way. That's what I say.
Well, we're Geminis, so we're both crazy. So I get it.
Completely insane.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I grew up, that was like a definite theme in my entire life. And my father had gotten to the point where he was in a wheelchair because of his weight. And
okay.
So I really worried about him a lot, and being a codependent person,
sure.
Even though I was obese, I was really worried about his obesity more. And so in my 20s, I would go to his house and I'd cook for him and I would take care of him. And then I would leave and he would go out and eat McDonald's. So yeah. And so I was like really meal prepping for him as portion control before it was a thing. So this has like kind of been a theme throughout my life.
Okay. So you were trying to get him straightened out already?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I never did. He ended up dying a year ago, like next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's not very old.
No, he was 71.
Well, that's not too bad, but wow. Yeah. Okay. I was going to say he was probably like 60 something, but okay.
Yeah, I'm the baby in the family.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I get you. Okay.
But, so that just really, the codependency and handling other people's shit all the time got me to a point where I ended up abusing prescription drugs.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I have really strange looking hands, and I started to focus on them a lot. And I call them my old lady hands. And so I was like in a lot of pain. They ached a lot. So I went to this naturopath, and so she can prescribe, natural remedies, chiropractic care. But she could also write prescription medication.
Okay.
And so she, ran me through the gamut.
Okay.
She had me on a million different supplements and doing the adjustments and the stim, the whole 9 yards. And after, a couple $1,000s of that, she started me on Norco. And at the time, like, there weren't the regulations, that it was right at the cusp of that. She would give me prescriptions, say, well, you can use this for a few months. And then I come back in a month later and she just give me more, and she gave me more and gave me more. And I got to the point where I was taking more than 12 of them a day.
Oh my goodness. What the hell is Norco? Help me out.
Vicodin, an opioid.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane. That's crazy.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what it did, because,
oh my goodness. That's so hard to get off, though. I mean, obviously you're having fun while you're on it, but yikes, coming off of that, that's awful.
It's only a temporary fun, because it numbs Sorry?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
It numbs like whatever's bothering you in the first place, because I had that same habit, right? So like, I'm worrying about everyone else. I married somebody who I worried about more than I worried about myself. And I was like dragging him uphill. So having a doctor confirm for me that there was something wrong with me, and that there was a reason for my suffering, because it really felt physical. The pain really did. It was internal, like it definitely was my mind. But she was validating that for me.
Right.
And so when I started taking it, it was like all of a sudden I didn't care. I used to call my ex-husband, the joke between my mother and I was that he was horizontal, meaning like he's on the couch, laying on the couch, unemployed all the time. So if I'm starting to take the pill and it doesn't bother me as much, like I don't want to kill him in his sleep, like it can become
it's an improvement.
Yeah. Right. All of a sudden it's like
an unhealthy improvement, but there was a positive effect.
Stuff still sucks, but you just don't really care. It's like, it's all right.
Right. It's kind of like alcohol or weed, Yeah. It's like, wow, I'm really in pain. I just don't care. Right. Yay, I'm comfortably numb. Yeah, best song ever. Okay. All right. So now you're kind of addicted a little.
A lot. I got to the point I was chopping them up and snorting them. I mean, it was a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. I mean, I have an addictive personality, and I was definitely not an angel when I was younger. So it's not like I came from the Bible Belt and then just became an opioid addict. Right. I had an addictive personality.
I'm like that too. I think this might be one of those Gemini things. It's sort of like the only way to stop a thing, especially if it's a thing like a vice that you like, for me, okay, is to get to the point where I'm just thoroughly, it's not like I can like say no to it. I just have to have so much of it, I'm done. If that makes any kind of sense. Like,
my husband said this, and we were talking about that. My husband's a Gemini too, and he said the same thing. He's like, you and I, we just don't do things a little.
Right. Exactly. It's like some part of us knows we're swimming down, right? Mm-hmm. And we go, well, there's a bottom somewhere. I guess we'll find it. It might kill us, but we'll get there. Yeah, I'm with you. That kind of blows. That's the thing about us. That sucks. Yes.
Well, and I think it's the perfect storm too. Right. It was all of my unhealthy relationships, and it felt like if everyone else would just do the things, like if he would just get a job, if he could just keep a job, if my dad would just do if he would just care about himself. And so I spent so much time worrying about what everyone else was doing that I wasn't even thinking about the obvious, is that I had decisions that I could make that could change my reality.
Right.
But I didn't want to accept that as the case because my mind just did not function that way.
Yeah. So, okay. So how did we get off of Norco? That's gotta suck.
Yeah. So the first thing you do, Jeff, is you leave the loser in the first place, right?
Okay.
Because that takes like a man-sized weight off of your back or a woman-sized weight off your back.
You no longer have the horizontal pain in the ass. Is that what?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right. That was really scary to do that, but it just got to the point in which I had to do that.
And this is while you're still medicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually had detoxed myself.
Wow.
Yeah, all by myself.
Yep.
It was extremely painful process, and you're not supposed to do that, but that's just kind of what ended up happening.
It's typical. That's typical of what what I do too. It's like, I'm gonna do it. Yes, right.
I wouldn't want to bother anyone and go to.
Yeah. We don't want to bother anybody. That's a perfect Gemini phrase. I don't want to be a bother.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I did.
So you detox yourself. You get rid of the husband. Okay.
Yeah. But there's more. There's definitely more to that. I ended up going to a doctor that prescribed me Suboxone, which is like a sublingual tab you can put under your tongue.
Okay.
And some people do use that to get off. And I was successful with that. It took. Ironically, it took twice as long to get off of it as it did the time that
to be on it, I should say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow.
But I was still with the Suboxone, I was still experiencing a lot of pain in my joints, and doctors really still couldn't figure out what was wrong with me.
Right.
My hands look like somebody that might have rheumatoid arthritis. Like they're not knobby looking.
Right.
And so they just weren't exactly sure. I had doctors putting me on all sort of immune suppressants, just giving me all sorts of drugs. And I got to a point where I was just you know what? I want to try something radically different. I had done all sorts of diets my whole life, but I just thought if much like you were hinting at before earlier, if I could get really excited about something positive like strength training, that will help me not focus on a diet's always about restricting, and I didn't want to have to focus on the negative. So I started lifting weights, and I realized that I feared pain a lot.
Yeah, that's a good lesson. Yes,
yeah,
I do too. So it's like we're twins.
Yeah.
Right. All kinds of pain, but mostly are you referring to physical pain?
Well, I think, I don't know that it matters. I think
so
that
in your brain, it's all the same.
Yeah, I think I spent, a whole life of a really scrappy life, and everything feels like a struggle. And you can get worn down and not feel like you're strong enough. And so it's just like there's a point in which you can't bear any more pain. It feels that way. But when I started strength training and I was pushing past that, and I would realize, oh my gosh, like you didn't die.
There's something on the other side of this pain. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you go through it. Right.
And I like to practice that regularly.
I get it.
It helps, that converts into business too, where anytime you have like, you're feeling uncomfortable in your situation, like if you're launching a program or if you're about to invest or you're doing something or that, having that ability to withstand the pain of something, of being uncomfortable has served me. It's like been the biggest lesson that I've ever had in my life.
No, I experienced that too. I went through, a lot of physical pain, and I was also doing the thing where I was like afraid of pain too. So with me, I went through, massage school, kind of like as a thing to do for fun. Right. But, I couldn't help it. I absorbed all this knowledge about like physiology and what's really going on. And, oh, you need new shoes. And, oh, you can make this better with yoga. And, oh, massage helps. Right. And it wasn't until I was starting learning all of these things that I realized that not everybody is like in their 40s and can't walk around at the mall with their wife without taking like a bunch of breaks, because they're just in all kinds of pain, right? So I had to work through all of that to figure out, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of things going on here that I don't even know, that I'm just assuming everybody's feeling this too. So yeah, I get it. Thankfully, I never got into my addictive behaviors were like nicotine, alcohol, and food. That's about as deep as I got. Yeah. So I was using like beer and like pizza was as close as I ever got to Norco. Right.
But you know what? Like I just learned this. I did not know this, that detoxing off of alcohol is more dangerous than detoxing off of heroin.
Yep, you're right. It's hard.
That's crazy to me.
Nicotine is even worse. I don't know if you've ever gotten into nicotine, but it is the worst. It's the worst. I use Skoal, like smokeless tobacco, because you look like a country bumpkin. I did that for years, and I would quit and then start again thinking, oh, I'll just quit. I've quit before, and it's just like, ugh, you're so stupid. and then like you going through the getting off is always just like, ugh. It's like you have to get to this, like there's this 3 nights where you just can't sleep. You're just like, and then after that, okay, the physical thing's done and I've survived. So it's like, it was really hard anyway.
Oh, my husband's quitting smoking right now.
So
it drives
hard.
me nuts that he smokes.
So hard.
And I have a friend that took that, what's that pill? Ray Liotta's doing the commercials for it now, Chantix or something.
Okay, right.
And had the worst nightmares that
Yes.
he murdered someone. And he said he woke up and he thought that he had, like, it was so vivid.
Real. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I try to avoid all sorts of, all medications that doctors fling out. I try to avoid those. I just don't do well on any of that crap. No, I'm not like anti-medication. I'll take it. Right. But I don't want to stay on it. I don't want to stay on anything. I don't like that sort of like, I retired from the Air Force when I was 38 and I had arthritis in my knees and, like an old shoulder injury. Right. So I go in to talk to the VA doctor and she's like, so what are you on for your stuff? And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, you got arthritis in your knees. What are you taking for that? I'm like, Tylenol and beer. And she's like, do you want something? And I'm like, no, I don't want something. Right. That could have been the beginning of an opioid addiction. And I just, got lucky and said no.
Yeah. The VA is different, but like with, a lot of these pain clinics, they want you to be addicted because yeah, you're coming back every month. And she saw this cash cow with me because not only was I coming back every month for a visit, I was also doing blood work and supplements and the whole 9 yards.
You were thoroughly buying her a boat.
And the most disturbing part is that like I went into that going to a naturopath with the intention of doing it naturally.
Right.
And but you have somebody with a white smock on that looks like an authority figure telling you, oh my gosh, no wonder why you're in so much pain. Oh my goodness. Right. You're like, yes, I am in pain. Thank you.
Oh my God. You're like the only person that loves me.
Yeah. You so get me, lady.
Right. Exactly. And they're going, moo. Right. Yeah. Not really. They just want to get paid. Okay. So you basically had like an aha moment when you started lifting weights, right?
Yeah.
So when did you figure out, is there a story behind when you figured out that the key to this whole thing was you were using food to hide or I guess like avoid maybe negative emotions or cover up or make you feel better? Tell us that story. How did you get there?
Well, I think that the story of getting there was actually more about leaning into the pain. I think the food stuff is still there. Like I feel like it's something that you monitor because it's not like, you're either on norco or you're not. Like food, you have to eat every day. Yes. And so I teach my clients like, functional like steps and skills that they can take to monitor that sort of binge type behavior. But I really do feel like that's so much. I mean, I'm open to the day that I never, ever, ever have that urge.
Right.
But I teach them flexibility because I feel like realistically it's going to be there and you've got to learn to forgive yourself a little bit.
For sure.
But I really do have this beautiful moment. I was in the gym for about 6 months at this point, and this guy that like is kind of like the gym mascot. Like he's just this guy that everyone knows there. He came up to me and he said, I just want to let you know you're doing so great and I've seen your transformation and blah, blah, blah. And how do you feel? And I said to him, like, it just came out of my mouth. And after I said it, I was like, wow, that was poetic as fuck.
Awesome. All right.
I was like, Don, there just comes a moment in which you start to realize that you were capable of so much more than you previously believed. Like, I just never thought I was capable of more or deserved more or could push myself. And once I was able to do that, and you finish like, I guess it sounds so cliche, right? Like, oh, I did this squat and it made me a better person, but it really, honestly, it did.
Yeah.
It did.
No, it is. It's like waking up from a dream almost when you push through a certain sort of, I don't even know what to call it. It's like this, like an aha is right. It's like a transformational realization of things that you previously thought were impossible are now you're doing, right? Right.
Yeah. Yes, and then that becomes your addiction then, right? Because I'm like,
because now that's giving you that high that you were looking for with all that other crap.
Yeah, I'm like, well, wow, if I didn't think I could lift weights, what else could I do? And honestly, in that moment, I came home and I talked to my husband about it. I kind of like been thinking a little bit, but I decided that I was a paralegal previously. And I told my husband that this is what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I wanted to help women realize, have that aha moment that I had.
Right.
And so I went and got my certification and quit my job, but that was easy.
Right.
and I started working. Anyway. Yeah, that was super easy. So, and then I started working with women right away. And that's been about 5 years ago.
Wow.
So, I haven't looked back.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But, most people, will spend better part of their life doing battle with food, never to come up with that sort of experience, that sort of like, and then to be able to turn around and translate that and come up with a program and transmit it successfully to another human being. I've never achieved that. So good for you. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's on the thought of just like continually improving something. It certainly didn't start that way. It was originally just fitness and nutrition. But then when I started to realize, oh, wait a minute, like it was a whole lot to do with the way I was thinking and feeling. It's just kind of been elevated over the years.
No, I get it. And, and we can chat about, like, I have some notes here because, like, I think the big rock for me was beer. Beer was my, like, constant companion, What
was your favorite? What kind of beer did you drink?
I'm an IPA kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It doesn't really matter. I like them all as long as they're wet and alcoholic. Because really, what you're doing with alcohol mostly is you're trying to, have a good time, but you're also hiding from pain. You're trying to make some pain go away. And that might be an emotional pain or, even a physical pain. I would, consciously say, wow, I'm really sore from that bike ride. 3 beers will really help that.
that inflammation will really help it.
Right.
I know.
Yeah. And in a way, it kind of does. It doesn't necessarily hurt, but there's so many better ways to deal with, a little bit of pain. And they're, wacky too, but like, we could talk forever about like good ways to recover from a workout that aren't 3 beers. So much better, But so once I did that, then it was just sort of like this series of smaller rocks that would fall away. Like if I would take, like, say, I'm going to go on a break and take 30 days off of beer, right? And then say, I don't really like wine, but if I feel like I need some sort of alcoholic medicine, I'll have some wine, right? Which is way less dangerous for me because I'm never going to be like, woohoo, I'm having a party because I'm drinking wine. It's just, it doesn't fit with me. And it also is sort of like what you're talking about, that safety, I love me escape valve that is less sticky. So anyway, when I would get off of alcohol, right, everything would be easier, hey, I can, my body doesn't hurt as much, I could probably like have some spinach today. I could probably eat a salad today. It just seemed like everything got a little bit easier. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then you ask yourself, you're like, I am never drinking again. I've done that. Yeah. I'm so smart right now. I'm so quick-witted. Right, I am amazing.
Right. No, the thing is I have done that where, like, I'll say I'm committing, I'm doing 30 days of no beer or 30 days of 0 alcohol, and then just let that carry, and then basically, I think the longest I ever did without even trying was something like 60 or 90 days. And then an alcoholic thing came up where suddenly I went, oh, look at that, I'm having a beer.
How did it go after that?
It wasn't like an immediate like run back. I didn't really like dive back into drinking again ever. I mean, now I think I can safely visit. It's like, it's the holidays. Let's have some beer, and I've tried to make my primary in the house alcohol wine, like, again, just because it's way less calories. You can have like a little bit and go, meh, all right, see, that was good for my heart. Some people think that's even healthy for me. And I don't, all of the downsides that go along with having, bread in the glass, just kind of go away. And again, I don't really like wine, so it's less dangerous for me.
Yeah, to me, like the latter part of what you said is really what I think matters most. Is like like my trigger thing is like I can just drink vodka. I like the taste of vodka, but if that's not around, then I'm like, whatever. I'll have a glass of wine. I feel that I can understand that, and I feel like a lot of women they really like the wine.
Really? So that's their thing that they have to avoid. Yeah, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
It's the thing that you have an attachment to that's going to trigger Like TV, right? We, if you grew up in the Midwest, like if you sit down and try to watch TV, you instantly want to get up and have a snack.
Like some Triscuits and Cheese Whiz or something.
Yes. And then pretty soon you're squirting that Cheese Whiz down your gullet. Yeah.
And you know what? When I was a little girl, I just had this like recovered memory listening to you talking about beer.
Yeah.
I was a little girl. Whoa. I would open, my dad would say, go get daddy a beer. And I'd get him these like old styles that you would peel. Yes. You'd peel the lid off of it. And I would take a sip of it before I gave it to him. I was probably like 5 or 6.
Wow. And you did you like it?
Oh, yeah.
Good for you. You're definitely from Chicago, drinking old style. Good for you.
Yeah, because I think it was like, I thought my dad was cool. It was like being naughty.
Right.
So it probably, I don't know. I always liked the taste of beer. So.
I remember when I was in high school drinking beer illegally. And no, for the first, we would go and get hams. Do you remember hams?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A 6-pack. We would share a 6-pack with 2 people. That's enough. But I didn't like it. It took a long time for me to like beer. But, obviously I'm going to drink it because that's what cool people do. Right? Mm-hmm. It's so weird.
Well, I'm glad that you really stuck with it there, Jeff. You were really committed.
I was. I committed to being cool and drinking beer. So I would have my Midwestern beer gut and it never go away. So let's talk about these notes that you shot at me that you're excited about. So you're talking about taking back your power or taking your power back. Let's have a chat about that because I'm down with that. I mean, it's mostly a personal power thing, I think is what you're going at.
Well, I think that the majority of people, probably not listening to this podcast, but the majority of people really are just kind of functioning on autopilot, and Amen. 95% of our brain activity is it's not even conscious. That we're not even aware of what we're thinking. And I think I spent so many years in that place. Right. And do you watch the show Westworld?
I have watched a little. It didn't get very far. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh.
It's good, right? I need to get back into it. I know. Okay. Tell me why.
The music's really good. Okay. The music's good. No. Because the characters are the robots.
Oh, I get you. They're all on a script. Yep. Okay.
But what they do is instead of giving them a script, they give them a backstory. And then they just behave how they behave. Okay. Because of their backstory. So that's actually what's really interesting is that's like a regular robot would just repeat information. But these robots, this woman was beat up as a child, had abusive family. And so the way that she behaves in Westworld is because of the childhood that she had.
Right.
And so I love this fantastic mindset coach and therapist. Her name's Valerie Kolick. We walked through an audit. So she recommends doing an audit of your thoughts.
Okay.
But you start from your youngest memory as a child.
Okay.
And really come up with those stories that you kind of always go back to. You're like, you know what? Do you remember when that time where my mom left me she forgot me at the mall, or everyone has this story, right?
Yep.
So you've got these stories, and just take some time and do an audit of all of those childhood stories. You will find a theme.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so once you do that, you can understand your Westworld
programming, right?
Yeah,
yes, right.
Because we don't even realize these things, but the whole time I was functioning on that I was a selfish little bitch, and I just wanted everyone else to be happy because I didn't want to appear selfish. So wanting things to go my way felt very selfish. I was told not to it wasn't necessarily told, but I had a specific experience. Well, there's numerous, but I'll just give you one example.
Sure.
A teenager friend dies, heroin overdose. Okay. I'm bawling my eyes out. This is one of my closest friends ever.
Yeah.
And my mother says, "What are you crying so hard for? you're only upset because he was cute. And I never that was how so I was taught to not, not show emotion. And if you did, you weren't getting compassion.
Wow.
So I learned, and that's just one example, but there's so many, and we can do these audits. Once you can look at that, you can say, well, am I selfish? Because factually, I'm the opposite of selfish, but because I'm constantly trying to prove my mother wrong without even realizing it. Right. So once we can ask ourselves, we understand what's running in the background. We can ask ourselves, do we really believe this about ourselves? Now we can make a conscious decision on the thoughts that we want to have. And we work on creating new thoughts. So many of the clients that I work with have similar stories that I do. And I don't think I think you attract like people. I think, your story resonates with people. Right. But for a lot of the women that I work with, they are obese because they're constantly worrying about making everyone else happy.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the addiction to the food. It's trying to relieve the anxiety from worrying about everyone else's bullshit all the time.
Wow. Is this kind of like, I'm trying to think, is this martyr syndrome? Have you ever heard that term?
Yeah. I mean,
it's different, isn't it? It's a little different. It's similar.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. And there's different like layers of being codependent.
Okay.
Like for myself, Jeff will say like, hey, you know what? Like, let's go. I want to go to this restaurant, and I will want to go to a different restaurant, but I'll go to the restaurant you want to go to. And I'm like secretly fucking pissed that I'm going to that restaurant with you. And then 2 years from now, I'll be like, you know what? You always get what you want, Jeff.
Right.
And the fact is that I never expressed what I wanted because I learned not to express what I wanted because it wasn't valuable.
Right. Okay.
And so what happens is like when you're very angry and you feel like your needs aren't getting met. Right. And that's when the food comes in. That's when the alcohol and the drugs, because it's just trying to relieve that pressure.
Okay. Yeah. That, I guess the best word is like that emotional discomfort or pain. That it's that little thing that there's a part of you that wanted to say, hey, I want to go here. Right. But for whatever reason, that tape is telling you, oh, just shut up and color. Right. Just go along and, who cares what you want. Right. Something like that.
Right. And that's where the pain comes in.
Right.
Is that,
and you're not even really aware of it in the here and now, right? You just think you're just going along with right? That's what you're telling yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's your reality. That's just what you live. So you don't even know.
And it's not even Jeff's fault.
It's not your fault, Jeff.
In the story, I meant.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. So that's. It's a fun way. Well, it's not fun, but it's amazing that you were able to come up with this again, and then help people like work through these experiences. So are you actually doing this in your groups where you're like asking people to try to find these stories with them?
Yes. So my program is first of all, I specialize in meal prep guides that are like food you actually want to be eating. So I give them, because I think like, it's not just, a lot of people talk about emotional eating. It's not that simple. Like if you don't know what a healthy plate of food looks like, if you don't know how to fuel your body when you're supposed to, you're going to be freaking hungry all the time. So like, you have to handle that. We handle the fitness because I believe the strength training is part of what helps you become the person that you
your brain and your mood.
Yes. But I also have a curriculum that we do in the first 4 weeks in the program where we really do an audit like this. And it helps us really work through that. And I've done that in partnership with Valerie Kolick because she's a therapist and that's her area of expertise. But it's always been it's been an interest of mine when I started to realize that I was creating the similar patterns with, like, my ex-husband was a piece of garbage. But I'm remarried and been married for 5 years. And I started to see similarities. And I thought it was that I married similar people, but it wasn't.
It was you.
It was me. It's my fault.
Right.
I created
well,
and my husband's a fantastic guy. And so I like
your fault. No, I don't know if it's your fault. It's just you. How's that sound?
Oh, that sounds so much better.
Yes, right?
No, but I really took ownership of that. And I think that's really what it's about. It's about taking your power back and saying, listen, there's the way that I'm functioning is creating the relationships that I have and the people that I allow in my life and the direction that my life goes. And to suggest any otherwise means you have no control. So you might as well, what are you living for? Right.
Right. Yes. That somewhere along the line, I sort of like, it wasn't even like I was like trying to write down like ideas, like to say, Jeff wants to make himself better and he's doing self-improvement now. No, what you just said, that like, I want to be 100% responsible for everything that happens in my earthly experience. It was like a discovery. I was like, oh, I am 100% responsible for everything in my experience on earth. I better start working on that. That's the way it felt to me. I don't know how it felt to you.
Well, I think it can feel scary to a lot of people.
It does. Most people don't want to say that. Yeah.
They don't want to. And naturally their brain, their pathways are going to want
Your
them.
Your ego is going to say, no, it's everybody else.
Yeah. But right. I tend to really encourage and say, no, but this is, don't you see, this is such good news.
It's yeah. That's a hard leap for most people. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do it.
When you do it in a group, I think it would be better.
Yeah. And there's a curriculum,
right.
So we work through it a very specific way. And it's always, it's like anything. It's always something that you're checking in every single day and saying, are these thoughts, the thoughts that I want to be having, are these thoughts true? What thoughts do I need to be thinking to feel the way that I want to feel and to get the result that I want to get? And so we work through that through journaling. And it's like a 6-month process. It's no 21-day fix. That's for sure.
And it's not a magic booty machine either.
No. Oh my God.
I've been checking out your blog.
Oh my God. I hate all that crap. That's that guy that you mentioned, that Travis Jones.
Yes.
I love to just check in and see what he's doing because I think it's so great to see people that are calling out all of this garbage because I felt victimized by it. I did every single stupid diet you could imagine.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm very much like ungym, right? I don't mind like going to gyms. I just like have this sort of like fuck gyms sort of attitude.
you work out at home?
I do. Yeah. I have like a kettlebell. I've got all the yoga junk. I've got like I've got a baby gym in the complex that we live in that has the big machines. So if I want a good workout, I can do it. I just don't have to have a gym membership and look at people looking at each other going, oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
I just don't like the vibe in the gym. Now, if I were going with a group where we could like, man up together and go like, that's the world. Don't look at it. This is what we're here to do. I could be down with that.
Yeah, I'm not a group fitness person. I like to put my headphones on, listen to like my gangster rap or death metal.
Just get her done, huh?
Yeah, it's like a therapy session.
Amen.
My husband and I have a garage gym.
Oh, nice.
And we pick up equipment from estate sales or Facebook because every single person has such good intentions with this gym equipment.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they need a few bucks, they're like
in the garage. Yes.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? This has been hanging clothes on it for 2 years. Maybe I'll sell this.
Right. And just get it super cheap. Yeah. Good for you. Smart. Okay, so as we wrap up, let's say your URL one more time. You are at thehonestweigh.com, correct?
Yeah, and it's WEIGH, like you weigh yourself.
Right. I got it. And it's awesome. I like it. So, okay. So, how can people best get in touch with Melissa Ronda other than your website? Because we just said
Okay, so yeah, I would say my website directs you to all of my social media.
Okay, perfect.
But definitely my Facebook page is usually where I'm hanging out the most. So it's The Honest Weigh on Facebook.
Perfect. I'll link to the Facebook page on in the show notes. This has been a blast. We could easily do a part 2 because I didn't get to any of my questions because we were just having too much fun.
Oh, these are the best kind of conversations, aren't they?
Right? Yes. Yeah, that was fun. So I thank you for hanging out with me for an hour, and you have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.